Good morning, everyone. It's Friday. Yay. First Friday of the new year. There's something about a new year where I always feel like it's just fraught with possibility. And I think that's a wonderful feeling, right? It's kind of weird that the new year is always in the beginning, or in the middle, rather, of our academic year, where we're already kind of underway with our programs and our master schedule. So when we come to this conference every year, usually in January, we kind of think about that planning concept being for next year, for the next academic year. But I do think it's still a new beginning. It's 2019, and as we plan ahead, we know most of the meaningful change we can bring to our schools is going to take planning time. So look at this as your new beginning for planning for next year. You're going to still do the great programs you're doing this year. You're going to follow through, see those students walk across the stage at graduation. I always feel like that's the best day of the year, right? I see heads nod. It's like when we all get local plunks and we're like, yes, they made it, and that one I wasn't sure about did make it, and not a good feeling. So we're going to look ahead toward the end of this academic year, but really that new possibility for next year and what we might want to bring as new programs to our schools. So this morning we're going to kind of bifurcate our time and talk about a couple different things. I wanted to start the morning and talk with you about the importance of gathering data around your programs, especially if you're going to implement Get Focused, Stay Focused. One of the early lessons that we learned was that we weren't sure if we were hitting the mark. As we said, okay, this class is underway and it seems to be going well and we're getting some anecdotal data, but how do we really assess the impact of this program on students, on the school community, on the perception of families and educators? So I want you to think about that intentionally as you go forward into your planning sessions today. What will be the measurements of success for your program? And yesterday we heard a lot of information from our keynote speakers about the new opportunities through strong workforce, through guided pathways. We know there's different funding formulas and accountability measures that we need to meet. So some of this is laid out for us in our proposals, right? We have to tell the state how we're going to collect data. That's a really important thing to do. It's maybe not the most fun thing unless you are a researcher and you love statistics and you love to geek out on that. Figuring out how to collect data may be a barrier for you. After one of our breakout sessions, an educator came up to me and said, that's our stumbling block right now, is we're not sure how to access data. And we've struggled with the same thing because we know schools in the high school K-12 world have CalPads, and they can sign MOUs to share the CalPads data with CalPass Plus, if you're familiar with that. At the community college level, the colleges have to report their data into CalPass Plus. There isn't always a lot of sharing going along with what is in that repository of data and who has access to the data, who can query, what does it mean? So as we go into our discussion about perceptions of program success, I want you to think about what is the quantitative data that you want to be gathering from the get-go, and what is the qualitative data you want to take a look at. So this morning we're going to look at a little bit more of the qualitative data, because honestly, when you're starting out, that's kind of the first thing you can gather. So yesterday we talked about being with the Conference of Collaboration, and I just wanted to update you that as of this school year, we have more than 469 schools providing more than 160,000 students in our state with this program. And when I think of the sheer numbers of that, I'm just sort of in awe of all of you, because it's the educators who come back year after year to learn about this program, take it back and implement it, as to why we've reached this huge milestone. And you can see there's a great timeline in your program. If you didn't take a look at that, I think it's right at the front cover. Sort of the journey we've been on since 2009, and the journey Academic Innovations. The curriculum publisher was on long before that. So, we just jumped on kind of midway through. But again, it's those of you who are here who find that passion and bring it back to your schools as to why we've reached this number. And I think it's really amazing to think of over 160,000 students getting to plan for a meaningful life with intention and research and resources at their fingertips. So as we think about collecting data, we're going to start and look at some student perspectives to begin. Yesterday when I asked you what this was all about, you aptly said students. We know this is why we're here. It's what keeps us motivated as educators. So first and foremost, when you think about how you're going to highlight your program and motivate your colleagues and motivate your community to support this program, you want to get the student voice. One of the videos that we showed yesterday said, the educator said, students don't always know when they're in the class how meaningful it was. But what we hear from those who stayed with this program year after year is when those students become juniors and seniors and you invite them back in to speak to the freshmen, they're like, oh my gosh, this is the most important class you're going to take. So you want to capture that student voice. You want to bring them in and talk to your colleagues, have them come to any professional development events, or if you have weekly staff meetings, have them come in and just have one student say, this is what's in my 10-year plan. This is what I'm working on right now, and this is why it matters to me. So we're going to take a moment and watch a video. This first one is going to be just a little motivational video that Rochelle students made. So this is a quick one we'll start with.
1, 2, 3, get open! 4, 5, 6, 8, open!
Don't you want your student athletes to get voted for the state vote? Like keep your head in the game? I mean, I was the one out in the outfield when I played baseball that was like trying to do headstands and stuff. I was not focused. But we want our football players totally focused on the game, no injuries. Next up, we're going to watch a video. This is from Esparto High School up in the Sacramento region, and this just shows again what this school did to capture that student perspective of the program. So thanks to Terry Munger and her region for helping put the video together. Again, this is one example of one high school, and this is a short video. I think that's about 4 minutes long. So think of the power of creating something short and succinct like that, the student perspective, and bringing that to a back-to-school night for parents. To say, this is a new program we're going to be offering. This is our freshman seminar course, or our Success 101, whatever you brand your course, your Get Focused course. This could also be something where you use one of the videos we have from another school when you're first launching your program, and then eventually you'll make videos with your students. One of the recommendations we make is to try to do video interviews with your students at the very start of the academic year, and then throughout the course, try to get some style bites from them of what they're learning, how the experience is going, and then at the end. And then if you can do that year after year, I mean, that's kind of the best testimony as to whether or not students find this program impactful. So there's another video we want to show you. Normally at the conferences we try to do a student panel. This year, because our conference fell so close after the new year, this is a hard time to get students to come to campus. So what we wanted to do is kind of show some snippets of different students, both high school and college, who've shared their perspective with us over time, because we've really become committed to capturing that student voice so that we can, again, measure or whether or not we're hitting our mark.
It was a really important part of my life, this course, because without it, I don't think I'd be as structured and knowledgeable about what I want to do with my life. I feel like I'd be like a small fish in a big pond, just trying to navigate my way through life. But with this, I feel like it really helped me, and I'm hoping that others take the course too, because it's a really helpful thing to have.
I actually know where I'm going and know what I have to focus on, so it's just easier for me, which makes it more fun.
I mean, most students would say, oh, Alana, you get straight A's. I mean, this is just an easy class for you. You don't need it. Take another smart person class. No, it really helps you set your goals. No other class helps you set your goals. This is really needed.
It's a really weird thing as a freshman that is going to help you later, and it comes back and bite you in the butt if you don't pay attention. It really does, because me and Ms. Bryant had our up and downs. A lot of them. Right? I'll take it. It's very true. As a freshman, didn't think it would help me that much, and now I have to come back and beg her to help me. I'm gonna have a job interview very soon that Ms. Bryant helped me recently, and that's really good.
I kind of thought that everything that we were learning would only be useful after high school, but I've already I have a job right now, and it's just helpful to know how to that I need to save my money in order, just little things like pay for gas and do stuff like that. So learning how to budget and plan for even just little things helped me out a lot.
You learn who you really are. Everything from financially to your career choices.
I have a vision. I want to be a computer technician. Simple as that. I have the energy to actually study, do good grades, go to college, all of that stuff that's already been said before. It's actually a cliche now. If you do all of that, if you have a vision while you're working And if you actually work while you're thinking about it, you know, actually study to become a computer technician or whatever you want to be, you're actually successful.
The course just slammed me with a bunch of reality checks because at first I wanted to be the president. And so if I want to be the president, then I was like, you know, easy. Well, I'll just be the president. But then I started thinking about it, I was like, no, you have to wait until you're 35. No, you have to be a politician and be a senator for all. And then it was unattractive to me, all those aspects of it. And so then from there, it went from wanting to be the president to wanting to be a doctor. And then so I wanted to be a doctor, but then I was thinking about my 10-year plan and where I'd be in 10 years and where I'd still be in school. And I don't know, that aspect just didn't appeal to me. I knew that I wanted to help people, but the whole medicine side of it, I knew I could have done a different route. And then so as the course went on and as my years progressed throughout high school, I realized that I still wanted to help people and I could do that by teaching.
I want to be a t-shirt shop owner. How do I get it? I get it by going to school. I get it by doing my work. I get it by passing all my classes. I get it by working hard.
Victor is here last year, and for those of us who've been around for a while, what's really fun is that Indio High School made a great documentary following students like Victor from their freshman year through high school. And Victor was just about the tiniest freshman you've ever seen. I mean, I'm short, but like Victor was teeny tiny. And now he's a man. I mean, he's in Riverside and going on his pathway toward teacher credentialing. And so every time we've been able to get him here on stage, those people who've seen him through the years are like, oh my gosh, and Kari just said, she goes, that's Victor. I mean, it's just incredible to watch that journey. So again, that's that qualitative piece of following your students and watching what the outcome might be. Rochelle and I were talking about students who keep in touch with you after they graduate. And I think that's a testament to the connection that we build with students when we teach this class, is that they know we are always their advocate, no matter where they might go. I had a student from Santa Barbara City College several years ago who came back for this conference. She had already transferred to UCLA, and her presence on the panel meant so much to me because, again, it's students giving up their time on their vacation to come and share their perspective. And she said, you know, I took this class my first semester, freshman year here at SBCC. And granted, she's a really bright and delightful young woman, and I have no doubt she would be successful. But she said that class helped her figure out her pathway through community college, and after 2 years, she transferred to UCLA. So clearly, she's a smart young woman. But she said, all my friends who started City College the same year, who didn't take that class, are still here. She goes, I'm a year away from finishing UCLA, and they're still at community college because they don't know why they're in school. And that meant a lot to me as her teacher to say, you know what, that time we invested in, and that connection that I have with her has impacted her life beyond just the scope of that one semester. I wrote letters of recommendation for her after she finished UCLA to go and teach in the Canary Islands, so she did that last year. And now I helped her connect and kind of come back to this area because she loves living here, so now she has a job in Carpinteria. It's really awesome to keep in touch and to see those success stories because that's where we pour our energy. And a lot of times it's a thankless job, right? We go to work, we work really hard, and most students don't say thank you when they're leaving your classroom at the end of the day. I mean, counseling, I'll say, most students do say thank you. They're really sweet when they come in because you get them one-on-one and you get a little bit more of that knowledge that you have impacted them. But sometimes it's that 5-year follow-up for the student who, I mean, Rochelle shared a story the other night, I hope you don't mind me sharing your story. But she talked about a student who came up to her and said, this class, you saved my life. And she was like, I don't even know you. And it was a student she had who had gained the knowledge in her class, and that ripple effect of that student's knowledge that he was able to help his friend to understand how to navigate community college. And sometimes we don't know what the ripple effect is for our students until we start talking to them. There's another story from Jen Ramos' school, who's also sitting over here, and they shared a couple years ago that there was a young woman named Hope who went to Linda, Jen's colleague, and said, Ms. Betancourt, I need to talk to you right now. And Linda said, you know, what's going on? She said, there's a guy in my class, and he's writing a suicide note. And he doesn't know the value of his life. He hasn't taken your class. He doesn't know what he has to live for. So they intervened, they got help, and this young man was planning to end his life. And we've asked Linda to share this story before. I can't even do it justice. And every time I tell it, I get goosebumps. And when Linda tells it, I cry. Because Linda said, it doesn't matter how many students we try to reach. She goes, this program already saved one life. And if it didn't reach anybody else, that one life was worth everything that we've done. And that, to me, just changed my perspective even of what, because when we go in, day out, and we do our jobs, sometimes we go, are we hitting our mark? Are we making a difference so the students care? And then we hear a story like that and we're like, oh, this really does matter. This matters on a level that is so fundamental to our students' survival and thriving in life that we can't ignore it. It has to be an opportunity for them to plan and to understand the value of the opportunities that are before them. So again, I know a lot of you would say, why are we watching these videos? We already think this program is a great thing. We wouldn't be here in January if we didn't. But we want to remind you the value of capturing the voices. The next short video we want to show you is really about the parent perspective. And I want to again give credit to Rochelle's school for putting on really great parent events. Again, you're going to have parents who say, my child does not need this class. My child is brilliant and wonderful and perfect, and we get it. Those of us who have children, we think they're pretty spectacular. But as the parent of a 14-year-old right now, he needs this class, like more than anybody. He needs to know things that he can't hear from me. He has to hear it from somebody else, and that's what this class offers. So when you think about educating your parents, think about the forum in which you can do that. And this, again, I'm gearing more toward the high school folks in the room. If you're community college, again, you may have parents coming in for that group counseling. We always have parents show up at the college, and then we politely explain FERPA and let them know, that we are going to communicate directly with their son or daughter. So let's take a look at this short video. Michelle's school and Michelle Hand for putting this together. 85% participation rate. How many of you get 85% participation from parent events at your school? Anybody other than Michelle? So again, what a great testament to the power of bringing parents on board. And again, we started this discussion with student and parent perspectives because that's where it's at. If students and parents find value in what we're doing, then we're on the right track. They can see the long-term impact that this is going to have on their children and how it can benefit their family. As Melissa aptly said this morning, all of us need a 10-year plan. Even as students transition out, that's what we're telling them. Your 10-year plan next year doesn't become a 9-year plan. It's still a 10-year plan. We're always looking forward to the future. And I do want to say that we also remind students to stay in the present, right? We don't want them always living in the future. We want them to enjoy where they're at right now. High school and college are a really special time that you only usually get to do once. And so part of it's teaching students that balance of planning with intention, knowing where they're headed, knowing that the decisions they're making now will have an impact on their future, but also seizing that moment to have great experiences now that are going to build those opportunities that they'll have down the road. So I also want to share that on the quantitative side, I mentioned you want to start thinking about those data points. So as educators, that's one of the things that drives us. It's not just the qualitative perspective, it's the quantitative numbers that we can bring to our board meetings, to city council meetings, wherever it might be that we want to showcase our program. In some communities where they're looking for funding, maybe they want a donor to purchase the workbooks for students. You want to have information to share back with those folks to say, this is why this program is of value and why you should invest in it. So some of our local schools started gathering data around student outcomes. And they looked at things like A through G course completion. I don't have the graphic, I should have put it in there, but one of the things we found at Carpinteria High was over the first several years of implementing this program, A through G completion rates doubled for their student population. So that meant far more students were aware of what A through G was, and the principal said they're coming to their counselors and advocating, saying, I want to take A through G because I know that that will make me more ready for my post-secondary options. We found that students were earning a higher GPA. They were getting through the college, it used to be EAP assessments at a higher rate. They were passing those and demonstrating college readiness. We also found things like attendance rates were going up. And so the principal said, that means funding for my school when attendance rates go up. Suspension and expulsion rates were going down. Those are quantifiable numbers that you can measure and share with people to show as a measure of success of your program. Are you sure I didn't miss anything? Again, one of the things we want students to remember too is this is their own kind of checkpoint. Am I meeting my goals and measuring that with their 10-year plan? Because they can move on once they check something off. It's like, all right, now I'm going to work on the next goal and keep moving forward. So the last short video I want to show you in this portion is really that educated perspective, because again, you want to be talking to your colleagues and making sure that they feel this program is worthwhile. Again, we talked yesterday about the importance of the right teacher, finding the right people who love working with students. And you want to make sure that they're enjoying the experience, right? School should be a fun place to be. Teaching should be the most fun profession because we get to work with students and do what Victor talked about, right? We get to help people every day. What could be more gratifying than that? So let's take a look at this short video as well.
Get Focused, Stay Focused is a comprehensive post-secondary and career guidance course. And it's an opportunity in the regular school day that is gifted to our students where they get to focus on themselves. So many of our high school courses are focused on a curriculum or focused on a subject. This is the first opportunity where the subject gets to be them.
When I get the privilege of teaching this class to the kids, you know, and I know some of them, it's going to be years before they really understand the full kind of implication of how important this is. But I know that, and I think it's so easy for me to be, I mean, I don't think of myself as a cheerleader. I just realized that this is going to be a gift to you.
If you go back and everybody thinks about who was successful in their lives, who made an impact when they were in high school, it's that one relationship they built with a teacher. You just think about, wow, I'm making the same impact on those students. So wouldn't I want them to be prepared? And I think about it even beyond the future, because whatever positive impact I can make on the students, I know that they will go out in the community and make that impact on others.
That Get Focused piece is to help students start the process of exploring who they are, what they want, and how they're going to get it. And I think for students in 9th grade, not many of them have ever been asked, who am I? What am I passionate about? What are my values? And so when I bring that up with people, they seem to really get it, that this is about holistic student development.
This freshman group that we have today will never be freshmen again. So you only have that one chance to go after them and give them whatever treatment you feel is necessary to move on. But what I've learned is that change is not an event, it's a process. And if you implement incremental change, then you can truly change a generation.
Well, here we do this incredible process in the freshman course. We want that to have some legs, underneath it. We want it to keep moving on so that it's not a one and done course. This is something that is a lifelong process. And as a counselor, I understand the process of career development is lifelong, but our students don't always realize that. So we want to make that explicit.
One of the real critical elements of this program is the focus on students looking at a career first and then making decisions about what major they may want to take and what college or university they may want to attend.
What I find refreshing and critical about Get Focused, Stay Focused is that it's on the student. The purpose of the program is to facilitate a future for kids in a way that places them at a higher priority than any number the school is going to achieve by giving tests to students. And that change, that subtle change, is very meaningful to parents and to students, and I think that's the explanation for the kind of support Get Focused, Stay Focused has received in our district.
It gives them the freedom to dream big and think, maybe I grew up in poverty, but I don't have to stay there. I get to make choices for my life. It just gives kids hope that they get to take charge of their future and their careers.
The results that we saw were that students were more engaged, they were more energized, they had a purpose behind what they were doing, and once they started to do well in that self-reflection in the class, then you got to see the other grades were going up. They were more connected, they joined more clubs. I think the greatest takeaway that we have from the program is that we are no longer just saying, be successful. We're no longer saying that you can do it, but now we're giving them a map to show them exactly how they can do it. And it's moving.
So it's really hard to watch yourself on video. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, like that. But the purpose of showing you this is to say any and all of these videos are available to you. If you want to show them to your staff, if it will help to paint a picture of what the program is about, we want you to know that all of this is at your disposal. So before we move on to kind of the second portion of our morning, I just want to find out, does anybody have questions about the way we collect data, what that looks like for your schools, or concerns around that? We can have a conversation about this if we want to. Any thoughts? So maybe you think, oh yeah, Gina? Nice to meet you.
How longitudinal is the data you're collecting? That is the oldest students. How old are they? How are they?
Our first graduating group from Carpinteria was in 2013, but they only had the freshman course. They didn't have any of the follow-up modules. So we're at that point now where students have had the follow-up modules, but since I'm not working here anymore, I don't have access to the data for the students matriculating, but it is available, so it would be within the MIS data here. When I looked at that cohort of the 2013 graduates from Carpinteria and looked at their matriculation rates to Santa Barbara City College, even from the year prior where students didn't have the freshman course, we saw some really great gains, like they were more likely to enroll full-time versus part-time. There was a higher number of students that participated in our matriculation events than previous years. So, I mean, there were some small pieces just from that very first group. The goal would be to ideally see students through their tenure plan, to go all the way from the freshman course with the follow-up modules, see them through whatever post-secondary training they choose into career, and then ideally see them employed in the field commensurate with their training. That's, I think, one of the challenges our keynote speakers brought up yesterday, is how are we capturing that data? And community colleges really have the burden of that right now, of tracking students into employment and making sure that we are reaching our mark, particularly around career technical education. So as you go into your planning later today, be thinking about that. You know, what is our longitudinal data collection process going to look like, and how do we do short-term measurements along the way to reach that mark? So I'm going to transition us now away from these student and parent and educator perspectives to thinking about our individual perspective in this type of initiative. So I want to talk about how we find our why. So I want you to think back to your own K-12 experience and your own experience in college. And I want you to think about your why. Why were you there? Why did you sit in all of those classrooms through your K-12 experience? And why did you sit in those college classrooms? And I'm going to time you. I want you to take 1 minute, turn to a neighbor, give the other person 30 seconds, and just say very succinctly, what was your why? Why were you in high school? Why were you in college? Go. Okay, to wrap up that conversation, I'm just going to ask 2 people to share what their why was. What was your why for being in school? Some bold moms here. You had to do it. Compulsory, especially K-12, you have to be there. You are breaking the law if you are not there, or your parents are breaking the law if you are not there. Anybody else? Why were you there? Sports. Sports, yeah. That's a great reason to go to school, for sure. Now I want you to think about why you went into the field of education. When you very first decided that this was a career path you were willing to go to more schooling to pursue, what was your original why? We give you 2 minutes for this one, so give your partner a minute, you get a minute. What was that original why of why you chose this career path? All right, and wrap up this conversation. I imagine there's a lot of really wonderful reasons why you started that the field of education was worth pursuing. Can I have 2 people share their why for becoming an educator? Yeah.
I admired my high school counselor. He understood me. I said to him, I don't want to get grades from the parents, so I want to go to college. And he went out of his way to help me get scholarships and get into the university.
Awesome. So it's a person. A person inspired your pathway. That's awesome. One more person want to share? Why education? I know it wasn't for the paycheck, so don't tell me that. Union politics, anybody? Is that wrong? Yes. Oh, yes.
It was a way as a single parent to be at home with my children.
Awesome. Yeah. So it works for your family. A great reason. So why is the why important? Why does it even matter? Let's get a brief perspective on how this can impact us. Our why is the most important thing driving our what and our how. I'd like you to take 1 more minute. What is your current why? We talked about why you were in education, why you went to school. What is the why right now? Because it might be different than when you originally started. So take one more minute with your friend next to you and share what's the current why. I want you to also think about your students. What is the why of your students? Is it compulsory that they have to be there? Is it a hope for a brighter future? Because at our community colleges, students are there by choice, most of them. Sometimes they're wrangled in by their parents. But ideally, our students will develop a why if they participate in this program. They will have a why and a reason for being in our classes. In a recent Gallup poll from 2015, at poll of 1 million students found that only half of them reported feeling engaged in school and 1/5 feel actively disengaged. As Alice shared yesterday, the staggering data around dropout from community college and the lack of success in college level coursework within 6 years of enrollment, she said it's not acceptable. This type of data is not acceptable, that our students do not feel engaged in places of learning. We as creatures, as human creatures, are creative. I'm watching my 10-month-old try to explore everything in my hotel room, right? Every cord, every plug, everything I don't want her to explore. She is naturally curious to go after that. What happens to that natural curiosity when students enter our areas of learning, our formal institutions of learning? Where does that natural innate curiosity go? What is the why for our students? I'm going to try not to trip over myself right now. And why does this all matter? You know, what is the importance of it? We can go through our jobs year after year. We can become tenured and tired. We can go through the motions of teaching standards and checking off progress reports and grades and all of that. But for what? You know, why go through the motions? That's a really sad way to live our experience in education. And frankly, I think there's a lot of that happens. It's very easy to become complacent, to show up, to clock in and clock out, to use the same lesson plans you've been using for 20 years. It's so easy to do that. How do we reconnect with our why so that our students will be able to have the opportunity to figure out their why? We cannot develop new programs, we cannot reform and truly change and transform education if we don't know the why behind why we're doing it. And it's the why that's our reason to stay motivated to pursue our goals. We don't just do that naturally, we have to keep reconnecting with that purpose, just as Michael Jr. shared. Many of you are the leaders from your institution, so I ask you, I beseech you to think of that. As the leader, how do you develop the why for your team? How do you inspire that and create opportunity for them to create the why together? Diane and I have often presented on dual enrollment, and we've often shared the quote, "The devil's in the details." And it's true. A lot of the program information you received yesterday and today is very detail-oriented. But I recently read a book by Erwin McManus, and one of the things he said that I loved was, the devil isn't in the details, the dream is. Right? Those details matter, but it's the details in which our dream is encompassed. And the reason this is so important is because the dream isn't about us. It's about serving others. We have to keep remembering that drive, that why. One other thing that struck me when I was thinking about our role in leadership and around this initiative specifically is in developing that why for your team, it's getting everybody moving in the same direction. Thanks to Dr. Monica Carmel, I recently read the book Move Your Bus, which is by Ron Clark, and he talks about identifying the members of your team. You have runners, you have people who are going for the vision. They are the people who are driving the why. They get it over and over, they get the why, and they're working hard toward that. You have the joggers, you have the people who are like steady and they keep going and they're working toward you. You have the walkers who are kind of plodding along. Then you get some riders back there who aren't doing a whole lot. And many of you, you're the driver, and you got to keep that bus going. So A, I would encourage you to read the book. B, I would encourage you to figure out who your runners are. Who are the people who never lose sight of the why? There's a bunch of them in this room. Most of them were presenting yesterday in the sessions you went to, so you got a glimpse of who those runners are. You want to free up those runners to take the vision. If you want to do Get Focused, Stay Focused, if you want to work on guided pathways, if you want to institute any kind of transformative change in your school, you need to get those runners and you need to free them up to run, to take that why and carry that vision forward. Henry Ford said, if everyone is moving forward together, then success takes care of itself, and I could not agree more. But it takes coming together in meetings like this and conferences to help us continue to move our bus forward. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time and remind you that we are going to have facilitated planning sessions after our next keynote speaker. So we're going to hang out here a little bit, and you are going to be in for a wonderful treat with Dave Wynn coming up in just a moment. I also want to just remind you about our facilitated planning sessions. We have kind of 3 pathways you can choose from. It's on page 15 of your program. One will be about crafting your K-12 strong workforce pathway improvement proposal with Get Focused, Stay Focused as the foundation. The other option would be planning your K-14 guided pathways collaboration using Get Focused, Stay Focused to clarify that path, that first pillar. And then lastly, you can work on integrating dual enrollment into your Get Focused, Stay Focused. I know a lot of you want to develop dual enrollment programs, so that would be the strand that you would want to go to. And again, the locations are listed in your program.